Hey, what's going on, everyone? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome in from the Philippines. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Let's wait for Let's wait for everybody to get in here today. Make sure you guys go ahead and hit the likes on your way in. Let's just wait for everybody to come on in today. Bolo, welcome in, man. Welcome in. Hey, Don John, what's going on? LeBron is a GOAT. Welcome in. You finally caught us once. Welcome in. Hey, Max, how you doing? How you doing? Edwin, how you guys doing? How you doing? So make sure you guys, when you come in, hit the likes, and let's wait for everybody to sign on in here. Let's give it a few minutes. Hey, Justin from Canada, thanks a lot. Welcome in. Let's wait for everybody to come on in. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys, before we get started, and then we'll get it going. Let's see what we got today. Let's see what we got today. Let's see who we got going. We got a pretty good show today. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Okay, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Make sure you guys hit the like button, guys, on your way in. Make sure you guys hit the like button, guys, on your way in. Yeah, Louis, thanks for that. Thanks for that. Yeah, thank you so much for that, Louis. It's only one game. Exactly. Thank you for that, Louis. Exactly. Mavs in 12. Yeah, let's see. Let's see how it's going. Let's see how it's going. Yeah, I noticed maybe one or two people out there been a little bit panicky after the first game. Now, if you picked the Clippers to win in 5-6, you shouldn't be panicking in the comment section. Okay, let's see. Hey, Compton, what's good? Welcome in from Compton. Also, everybody, say what's up to Marco. He's also in the live chat. He's going to be kicking out any trolls today. We noticed we've been getting more trolls lately. They've been coming out in the woodworks. We actually got a stalker out there. I'm not going to say his name, but y'all are going to see him when he comes into the comment section. This dude be stalking us, so be on the lookout for this dude. I don't know what he's doing. So just say what's up to Marco. Okay, let's wait about one or two more minutes. I just want to wait for everybody to get in, and then we'll get it started. Make sure y'all check in. This was never more than a sweep. I heard it was a game. I told my wife we're losing. Exactly. I agree with you, Louis. Exactly. And also, it's a matinee game. So that's a bit surprising. They somehow tend not to play well, the Clippers, in afternoon games. I'm not sure what the reason is for that. I see you guys dropping in your comments regarding the game. Don't worry. We're going to get to them. Let's just wait another minute or two to get as many people in here, because whenever we do a live, it seems like we end up missing a lot of people. Shannon Sharp was trolling. Shannon Sharp has a lot of issues. Shannon Sharp has enough problems on his hand right now. I don't need to be focused on Shannon Sharp. These guys have enough on their plate. I don't need to waste a second of my time on that right now. Hey, thanks a lot, man. DOV, appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Shannon Sharp will have a parade. Trust me, nobody's paying attention to Shannon Sharp right now. Nobody's paying attention. The only people paying attention to Shannon Sharp are the people sipping the Kool-Aid, as I've been saying. So I'm not paying attention to that. Yeah, it's part of the playoffs, man. We go through this every single year. It's part of the playoffs. You lose one game, it's the end of the series. You win the next game. Funny enough, this is exactly how the series went last year. Last year, the Clippers won game 1, lost game 2, won game 3, lost game 4, and then they won the next 2 games. So I never said it was going to be a sweep, but if you guys remember, I had some things that I said in that last live pertaining to how I thought this game was going to go. So I'm going to get to all of that. Let's just give it about one more minute. Make sure you guys please hit the like button on your way in, so we make sure we get enough people in here before we get started. Let's give it about another minute or so. Luka and KP blocked a couple of times. Boogie should be guarding Kristaps. Yeah, the Kristaps Porzingis is not the problem. The problem is Luka Doncic. Kristaps Porzingis is not the problem. He's not the guy. It's Luka. Luka is the problem. Go look at Kristaps Porzingis' numbers. Kristaps Porzingis' numbers is predicated on scoring, hitting a three, and blocking shots. Look at Luka Doncic's numbers in the season: scoring, rebounding, assisting. He does everything for that team. So he's the guy. Yes, let's just wait about 30 more seconds and we get it started. Let's just wait about 30 more seconds and we get started so that way we get enough people in here. Yeah, Mookie Jones, if they do that, remember the Mavs do have some guys that hit threes. The Mavs hit a lot of tough shots yesterday. You got to give them credit. They hit a lot of tough shots, including Luka Doncic. So you just got to pay attention to that. You just got to pay attention to that. Got to rebound the ball on both ends. What's up, tuning in? Hey, welcome in. Okay. So I think we got enough people in here for now for us to get started. It's a Sunday, so we're not going to take too much of your time. Just make sure you guys hit the like button on your way in. Okay, so real quick. So if you guys want to be a part of these live chats during the game, we had a bunch of people sign up for game 1. If you guys want to be a part of those live chats, make sure you guys go ahead and sign up to Dreamerspro Max. Marco's going to post the link in the chat. You guys can sign up to chat live during the games. You get 7 days of access, so you won't be charged or anything like that. We got a lot of signups in there for that. So if you guys want to do that, make sure you guys go ahead and do that. Again, if you're not a member of the channel, make sure you guys go ahead and click the join button to join the channel. Okay, let me get into it. So let's get into it. And then, hey, Marion, how you doing? Welcome in. All right, so let's get into this game here. So I got a lot that I want to talk about. First of all, as y'all know, going into that game on, I believe the game was yesterday, the last live that we did, we had some technical issues during the last live that we did a few days ago, 2 days ago or so. There were 2 questions I had at the end of that live that I said I wasn't ready to pick a number of games that I felt the Clippers were going to win this series in. If y'all remember, I said that. And there was a reason why. I said I had 2 important questions that I needed answered. The first question was, what was going to be the lineup that the Clippers were going to use? If you guys remember, if any of you guys were a part of that live, you remember me asking. I said I had some very big question marks. Number one, what was the lineup that the Clippers were going to use? Because I said I didn't know. I didn't know what their 8 to 9 man rotation was going to be. That's number one. And number 2, I said, how will Paul George play? These were the 2 main questions that I had going into that live. These are the 2 main questions. Going into that game. These are the 2 main questions. So when they started off the game, I noticed that they started Patrick Beverley, which I was perfectly fine with. I said, okay, listen, he is your starting point guard. He's the guy that you guys want because he's a defensive player. So if this is the guy that you want to start as a point guard at the point guard position, no problem. And then they also started Zubac. I said, okay, because Ty Lue already said Zubac was going to start over Serge Ibaka. So I said, okay, fine. No problem. No problem with that. Now the game starts. What's the first thing you notice about the game with Patrick Beverley? Patrick Beverley, in typical Patrick Beverley fashion, he plays with a lot of aggression and a lot of force. And in him doing so, he ends up picking up a lot of ticky-tack fouls, which he ends up putting himself in foul trouble and gets himself thrown out of the game early, so to speak, because of his foul trouble. Then, after they subbed out Patrick Beverley, the first thought I had was, okay, it's playoff time. It's time to win. They're going to sub in Rondo. And who was the person that they brought into the game at the first substitution as soon as Patrick Beverley picked up foul trouble? Reggie Jackson. And I said to myself, why are they subbing in Reggie Jackson to run the point? If you guys were watching that game, you will notice that in the first quarter, the Clippers' offense was a bit stagnant. They couldn't really get easy looks at the basket. If you notice, Marcus Morris Sr. was having a tough time generating clean looks from the 3. So I said, because the Clippers' offense looks so stagnant, why would we now then bring in Reggie Jackson? Reggie Jackson is a 2 guard masquerading as a 1. When he comes into a game, he's looking to score. He's not looking to facilitate. The offense was already stagnant. So that was the first mistake that I thought they made by bringing Reggie off the bench. What they needed was not another score. What they needed was somebody to help clean up the offense. That's what they needed, in my opinion. Then there was another issue. They had Ivica Zubac at the 5. If any of you guys saw the series last year, this was just another replay. With Zubac at the 5 and the Clippers switching everything, because remember, they didn't want to trap Luka, because remember, Luka is also a threat for his look away passes. Because once he gets past you, he becomes a threat to score. They didn't want to what is it? They didn't want to double team him. So whenever they got the switch, Zubac was left on Luka, which was a recipe for disaster because Zubac does not have the quickness on his feet to stay with Luka, and he basically took advantage of him every single time they switched. Every single time he would cross him over, step back into a 3, and hit a 3 in Zubac's face. It doesn't matter. Zubac was not quick enough for Luka. Although Luka looks like he moves in slow motion, he's faster than Zubac. And what they would do is run multiple picks until they got the pick that they wanted, which was to get Zubac on Luka. And I said during the game, I said this on Dreamerspro Max when we were chatting, I said they're going to have to bench Zubac. I said that in the first half, somewhere like to the first quarter or the second quarter. I said they're going to have to bench Zubac because he's becoming a liability on the pick and roll. I said this. Bolo and these guys and the people that are on Dreamerspro Max, all of them will tell you. All of them will tell you. I said that. I said they're going to have to change something because this strategy is not going to work. And I said they're going to need to go small. And the moment the Clippers started to go small, you'll notice that was the time that they started posting Kristaps Porzingis a little bit more. It's a game of chess. So watching the game, I said, okay, this is not going to work. They ended up playing Zubac for 14 minutes in the first half. In the second half, Ty Lue, to his credit, he made an adjustment, which is something Doc Rivers didn't seem like he was open to do last season. Ty Lue made an adjustment in the second half. Credit to him. He made an adjustment on the fly. He realized that something was not working, and he said, listen, we got to change up the game plan here because it's not working. So what he did was he decided that he was going to sit Zubac. Zubac in the first half played 14 minutes. Think about this, 14 minutes. In the second half, he only played 4 minutes. He only played 4 minutes, and it was the only thing to do. So what they decided to do was they now started to trap Luka in the pick and roll. And they said, listen, we're going to trap you, and we're going to force other guys to beat us. And that's what they were doing. They were forcing other guys out there to pretty much just go out there and beat them. And then at certain points, they brought in Serge Ibaka, who played the 5 in stretches. And Serge has better. I think Serge has a better defensive awareness than what's his name? Than Ivica Zubac. And Serge is out there. He was moving his feet. He was shading guys to the rim. He got some. He blocked some shots. He was deterring shots. So Serge made a difference coming into that game. He did. Now let me talk about Paul George. Paul George in the first half of that game, he looked very tentative. He looked like the nerves of the moment were getting to him, and he wasn't able to get some easy shots. I think some of that has to do with his nerves, and some of that has to do with the personnel that they have on the court. Because listen, I listened to Ty Lue after the game, and he said something very important. He said, listen, some of it is on me because I got to put Paul George in better positions to be successful and to score. He said that. He said that you got to put him in better positions to score to get him easier looks at the basket. which again, to Ty Lue's credit, was something that he did in the second half. Paul George didn't play well in the first half. However, he did play a lot better in the second half. If some people are waiting for me to come up here and start getting on Paul George, I'm not doing that. Paul George gave me exactly what I expected. Go look at the numbers he put up yesterday, right around his season average. I'm not going to beat up PG. He had a good game. It wasn't the best, but he had a good enough game. It wasn't like last year in round one when he was averaging 18 points per game in the first round. He played well. In the second half, he started hitting some threes. He hit 2 3-point shots. He started to get into a rhythm. He didn't play perfectly, but give the guy some credit. He played well. And it's only game one. I think he's going to get better as the series progresses. So let me see what else you guys are going. Let me see what else some of the comments you're saying. Let me see what else. Let me see what else. We need Man and Luka. Let me see what else. In your opinion, this is Omar. In your opinion, what should be the rotation of the Clippers starters? Don't worry, I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm going to get to that, Omar. I'm going to get to that to your point in a second because we got that later on here. I'm not giving Ty Lue any credit when he doesn't use all the tools available. Well, to be fair, you can't play every player. If you're out there in game one in a playoff game and you're playing everybody, it means you don't know your playoff rotations yet. That's not a good sign. Let me talk about Reggie Jackson. This is my honest opinion, and I truly mean this. I honestly believe, and I'm being serious, I don't like the way Reggie Jackson plays. He's very, very similar to Lou Williams. He's very similar. Very similar. They're very similar players. What do I mean? If Reggie Jackson is not scoring, he does nothing else. He doesn't play defense. He was blowing a lot of defensive assignments. He wasn't playing well. And if it was up to me, I would rather give Terrence Mann Reggie Jackson's minutes. I'm serious. Give Terrence Mann his minutes because Terrence Mann is going to come in. He's going to have a lot of energy. He's not going to make a lot of mistakes. You know that. He's a great playmaker. He's a good decision maker. He plays defense, and he can knock down threes if he has a good look from those corner threes. I would rather have him than have Reggie Jackson. This is just my opinion. Reggie, a lot of times on defense, he looks lost and he looks like a deer in the headlight. He looks lost out there if you watch him on defense. And credit again to Ty Lue because Reggie Jackson only played 8 minutes in the second half. He only played 8 minutes. Wasn't like as if they gave him a lot of minutes. They realized that, listen, this guy is not the answer right now that we need. The Clippers, their problem was not offense. Their problem was generating good looks. They have enough scores. You have Kawhi Leonard. You have Paul George. You have Marcus Morris Sr., your starting lineup. You got offense. What you need is good looks. Paul George can give you a 40-piece on any given moment if he gets going. On any given moment. I'm not giving Ty Lue a pass. I'm giving him credit. I'm giving an assessment. I'm breaking down the game. So I think personally that he made a good adjustment in the second half to really limit his minutes, which brings me to Rajon Rondo. How many times, how many lives have we done? How many videos have we done on this channel where I asked the question, what was the purpose of bringing in Rondo if you're not going to play him in games that mattered? What was the purpose of it? What's the purpose of bringing in Rondo if you're not going to play him? If you ask me, to go back to Omar's question, I would start Rondo over Patrick Beverley. That's what I would do. I would bring Patrick Beverley off the bench at the point guard position. Then what I would do is I would stagnate Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I would take Paul George out around the 4-minute mark of the first quarter, and I will start him in the second quarter. So at least you have another good ball handler in that second unit. I would have Patrick Beverley at the 1. I would have Terrence Mann at the 2. I would have Paul George at the 3. And roll with that. This is just me. Because I don't trust Reggie. When Rondo came in the game, you can see that the Clippers were beginning to get into a flow. If you notice, Rondo played the majority of his minutes in the second half. And in the second half, if you'll notice, given that's when Rondo played the majority of his minutes, that's the time that Paul George started to get going. It's not by coincidence. Rondo is an extension of the coach on the floor. He's an extension of the coach on the floor. So if they want to run different sets, if they want to do different things to get Paul George in a rhythm, Rondo's the guy to do it. If it was me, I would start Rondo. What am I saving him for? The Clippers seem to have this type of game plan, which is let's save Rondo to come and fix the offense whenever it turns into a mess. My question is, why would you want to risk putting yourself in that position in the first place? Why would you want to risk that? Wouldn't you want to start off a game with your best players on the court to give yourself the best possible chance to start the game the right way? Rondo brings another look. Let me address this thing about Boogie Williams, DeMarcus Cousins. Some people have been saying, what about DeMarcus Cousins? DeMarcus Cousins has no business playing in this series. I'm sorry. He has no business playing in this series. Because if you're going to play DeMarcus Cousins, they're going to search for him in the pick and roll. And the question is, do you think DeMarcus Cousins will have a better shot on a switch against Luka than Ivica Zubac? No way. No way. They're better off not playing him. The Clippers are going to have to answer a question. Are they going to play Zubac in limited minutes and also play small and play Marcus Morris Sr. at the 5 or not? Because you notice whenever they played their forwards is when they started having a lot of success. Nicholas Batum, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. These were their forwards. And Ibaka can't. Okay, Ibaka can do. I think Ibaka, to Omar's point, can do a better job on the switch than Ivica Zubac and DeMarcus Cousins. Because if they beat him, I know Ibaka can recover and still block a shot. Because I think at one point, Ibaka was beaten out. Luka was able to draw fouls on him, but he was also able to deter some shots. So if it was me, I would actually trust Ibaka. The problem is Ibaka's probably on minutes restrictions. He's probably on minutes restrictions anyway. So it's not like as if they're going to ramp him up and all of a sudden he's going to be out there playing 30 minutes a game. I don't think it's going to be the case. Another thing worth saying is this. The Mavs have a lot of small forwards that match up really well with the Clippers. If I go through some of the players on the Mavs, let me look at some of their guys. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a player. Okay. Luka Doncic is a player. Josh Richardson is another good player. They have some good wings on that team. So it's not like and De'Aaron Finney-Smith, a forward. He's another player. These are guys, these are small forwards that can move their feet and play on a perimeter. So personnel for personnel, they can match up with the Clippers really well. I think they have a better combination of forwards than the Lakers do versus the Clippers. Go look at the Dallas Mavericks roster. They have a good combination of forwards. So they can switch and they can recover pretty quickly. And they also have guys that can stretch the floor. It's not like as if the Clippers are going to tap dance over the Mavericks in round one. Some people were saying in 5 games, 4 games. I don't think that. Because number one, again, I don't know what their starting rotations are going to be. Clearly, Ty Lue is not 100% sure. And we still got to keep an eye on Paul George. If he wasn't 100% sure, he wouldn't have played so many players yesterday. Let me go through some of the comments. Make sure you guys hit the like button, guys. Let me go through some of the comments. Real quick, if you leave a trolling comment, I'm not responding to you. So you just chatting with yourself. I'm not wasting my time with you. Let me see what else we got. Yeah, Batum played really well. What if Batum started instead of Zubac? You take a risk because it looks like if they did that, the Mavs may look to exploit that matchup with Kristaps Porzingis. So it's something you want to pay attention to, but also Nicholas Batum gives that second unit some great stability as well with his ball handling, playmaking, and defense. So I'm not sure if I would want to throw him into the starting lineup because when you go to your bench, the problem becomes you exacerbate the problem. You exacerbate the problem. Yes, they're dropping on the problem with Luka is Luka presents a problem that very few basketball players in the NBA do. The minute he comes off of that pick and roll, he's a he's a threat to score because of his ability to step back. But because of the pace in which he plays with, in the last minute, you never know if he's going to go up to a pass or hit an open shoot in the corner. And because of his ability to sell the drive, and because of the way Rick Carlisle has his positions his players on the court, a lot of times, if Luka Doncic beats you on that pick and roll, you can't come off your man on the corner because at the last minute, he can still kick out to an open shooter. He puts defenses in jeopardy. It's not by chance that Luka Doncic is averaging these numbers. If I go into, okay, let's see, what did he score last night? 31 points, that's fine. The Clippers are trying to make him into a scorer. The thing that they were trying not to do is make him also into a passer. He finished the game with 11 assists. Luka Doncic did. So he played really well. Now let's talk about Paul George. Paul George in the first half, as I said before, he looked a little bit tentative, but in the second half, he played much better. He did. There's just no two ways about it. He got you 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. So he rebounded the ball. He made some plays. He shot 100% from the free throw line when he got there. He didn't shoot a good 3-point percentage. He shot 2 of 8, but he shot 44% from the field. Now, I think his numbers will get better as the series goes on. If you look at Kawhi Leonard, Kawhi basically carried the team in the first half, but in that second half, he kind of got lost in the offense, and he didn't have a very efficient game. I don't expect that to last throughout the rest of this series. But Paul George had a decent game. He had a decent game. Now, moving forward, I think that the adjustments that they made in the second half, they were able to limit Luka in the second half, the Clippers. Because in the second half of that game, Luka Doncic was held to 30% shooting. So Ty Lue's adjustments for the guy that's talking about, where's the guy? Talking about, oh, Ty Lue didn't make you taking. What are you talking about? Man, we gotta be a little bit more analytical when we're talking. We have to. You have to look at the data before you just start throwing out wild comments. Look at the data. Look at actually what happened. He made an adjustment in the second half. Luka Doncic scored 31 points in the game. He only scored 10 in the second half. He shot 3 of 10. He shot 30% from the field in the second half. He only had, 5 assists in the second half. They were able to limit him. He wasn't as deadly. He didn't get to the free throw line as much. He only got to the free throw line 4 times. It's not by chance. They made an adjustment. We got to give a more in-depth comment when you're commenting. Oh, just taking off. No. He did a good job. Charles, he's blowing it bottom line. Who's blowing it? What are you talking about? He's blowing. It's one game. Why am I even responding to this? Man, please, let me not waste my time with your comments. Please, you're just wasting people's time here. with your comments. Bottom line. So go start your YouTube channel. Since it's bottom line, you can do your video. He blew it. Bottom line. That's your video. No analysis. He blew it. Why did he blow it? Bottom line, he blew it. That's how dudes be talking these days. Whatever. Anyway, I think the Clippers, number one, moving on to game 2, I think they need to start Rondo. Now, will that happen? No. But one thing that needs to happen is they need to limit Reggie Jackson's minutes. I'm telling you. They need to limit it, and they need to give some of his minutes to Terrence Mann. Because as I said, I trust Terrence Mann more because he plays defense, he makes plays, and he can hit threes. Another thing is Marcus Morris Sr., who's my favorite Clipper. He needs to get going in game 2 because he didn't play well at all. He went 0 of 6 from the three-point line. He did not play well at all. They need to get Marcus Morris Sr. going. But it's tough to get him going. Obviously, in the playoffs, there are less transition shots. Obviously, we all know this. But you should be able to generate a better half-court offense in the second half. And I don't see how Reggie Jackson facilitates that. Reggie Jackson is a scorer. He's like an N1 player that cleaned up his game enough to play in the NBA. He's a scorer. That's what he is. And I don't think at this point the Clippers need that. What the Clippers need, they need a balanced player. Now, is it going to happen? Most likely not. Would I be surprised next game if Patrick Beverley gets into foul trouble, you see Reggie Jackson come off the bench? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. But for me, I just hope that they give Rondo more minutes because he's a difference maker. We can't afford to wait and say, okay, let's wait and see what's going to happen. We can't afford to wait because if you go down 0-2, you put yourself in a hole, an unnecessary situation. So I would definitely give Terrence Mann those minutes. I would. Some people say, well, he's a young player. He doesn't have enough experience. When is he going to get the experience? It's like somebody going to apply for a job and they're like, you don't have enough work experience. And he's like, if you don't hire me, when am I going to get work experience? If everybody keeps telling me I need experience, somebody got to hire me at one point for me to get this work experience. Somebody got to take a chance on him. And I just like what he brings to the court over this other guy, Reggie Jackson. Number 2, again, what's going to be their lineups? Number 3, how is Paul George going to play in game 2? Personally, I expect him to play better. I think at the end of that game, Paul George probably looked at his numbers, looked at his stats, and said, okay, you know what? It wasn't the best game, but I was able to settle down in that second half. If Paul George gets going in this series, 2 things happen. This is why Paul George is such a good player, is such a difference maker. If Paul George gets going, the first thing that happens is this. Number 1, you create another threat on the floor from the offensive side, another player that the Dallas Mavericks are going to have to deal with, number 1. And number 2, he's going to force Luka Doncic to play defense. He's going to force him to. If Paul George is not scoring, he's actually taking the pressure off of. He's letting Luka Doncic off the hook. So he needs to score. He needs to score. Is he capable of doing it? He's perfectly capable of doing it. The thing I liked about Kawhi was Kawhi didn't wait. He wasn't waiting for anybody in the beginning of that game. He was not waiting for anyone. He attacked immediately. I saw Shannon Sharp the other day on Undisputed talking about your boy Kawhi, who you saw you only scored less than 20. It doesn't matter. What does Kawhi Leonard scoring less than 20 game points over the last 4 or 5 games of the season? What does it have to do with the playoff? You're making that statement to say what? To say that he's not going to be able to score 20 points a game? Now, Kawhi is not as smooth from the 3. Not sure why. Maybe it may have something to do with his spacing. Maybe he's rushing shots. I don't know what it is. He's a very efficient shooter. 2 years ago in the playoffs, he shot at like 37% from the three for the playoffs. So I expect that to change a little bit. But Kawhi Leonard will also need to pick it up, and so will Paul George. But let's just face it. If the Clippers cannot guard this pick and roll, they're going to have problems all series long. Unless they're hoping that Luka Doncic can't make that three at a consistent rate, which is not a gamble I would want to take. Now, will they be fine in game 2? I think they will be. Listening to the players, listening to the coach, I think they will be fine. I think it's a good wake-up call. And this series is starting off in the opposite way than it did last year. Last year, they had they won game 1 and lost game 2. This year is the reverse. So if the Clippers can gain their confidence, know what they're doing, I think they'll be perfectly fine. But just to say this quickly, that's why I was saying in the Western Conference there are no easy matchups. There's no easy road to the finals. There's no easy road. The Dallas Mavericks are tough. Today, the Lakers are going to be playing against the Suns. You're going to find out that they're tough. I know a lot of people have written off the Suns. I've also picked the Lakers to win the series in 6. But the Suns, don't overlook any team in the West. I know Devin Booker's never been to the playoffs. This is his first time. Don't be surprised if anything happens these playoffs. Don't be surprised. It's going to be an interesting playoffs. Let me take some more of your comments. Just leave some of your questions. Let me go through some of the comments. If you guys have some comments, let me go through them. I'll answer some of them now. Let me see what you guys. Again, if you guys want to be a part of the live chat for game 2, make sure you guys check out Dreamerspro Max. You can chat. We're going to be chatting live for game 2 on there. People also chat for different games. It's not like as if it's just his game. You can chat for any game that you want. If you guys want to do that, Marco's going to link the link of the video. He's going to link the link of Dreamerspro Max in the description here, so you guys can check that out and get 7 days of access. Sure, you guys are going to enjoy that. Let me just go through some of the comments here. Let me see what some of you guys are saying. I bet Rondo will start next game. I hope so. I honestly hope that he does. Let me see what else you guys. Terrence Mann has a beef with Luka, so he can get in his head. We'll see, man. Luka's a great player. I'm not sure. Why doesn't Kawhi fight over screens whenever the guards Luka? It's the game plan. Their game plan is to switch. They don't want to trap. Their game plan for the Clippers is to switch. The problem is Luka Doncic is going to run 5 pick and rolls until he gets the switch that he wants. Watch the game, you'll see. It's their strategy. But in the second half, they started to trap and get the ball out of his hands and trust that other players can't beat them. But they were wrong. Sometimes some guys hit some tough shots. Look at Penny Hardaway Jr. shot that he hit over Kawhi Leonard. That's a tough shot. You run your game plan, the guy still hits a tough shot. Give him credit. Sometimes guys hit a tough shot. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Let me see what else you got. Raptors was more tougher. Yeah. PG has to attack the basket. I think Paul George was doing that. Yes, the Dallas Mavericks have some good shooters that space the floor, which makes Luka Doncic very effective. Let me see what else you got. They need to stop switching. Yeah, Kato, I think that's going to be a coach's decision. Louis got the Suns in 7. I wouldn't be surprised if they won. I agree. I think Ibaka and Rondo should probably start. The only question about Ibaka is he healthy enough? Does he have enough conditioning, rather? We had like 10 turnovers. That's not bad. Yeah, the turnovers weren't bad. Luka Doncic made some tough shots. He made some tough shots. Give the Mavs some credit. They hit some. Whenever the Clippers made a run, the Mavs came back and answered. You got to give them credit. We got to give credit where it's due. Yes, Reggie does remind me a lot of Lou Williams. Okay, so I think I've answered the majority of your questions here. So we're definitely going to do a live reaction for game 2. If you guys want to be a part of that, we're definitely going to do a live reaction on game 2. I think that should be on Wednesday on game 2. Obviously, tomorrow, people are going to overreact in the news media. I think I didn't hear Stephen A. Smith, but I think he made a comment. You know, Stephen A. Smith got a lot of he has enough to worry about. I'm not even thinking about Stephen A. Smith. They got somebody. Mama's cooking is on his. You know what? So I'm not even worried. I'm not even worried about Stephen A. Smith right now. So they already got somebody dealing with him. I don't even need to think about him. Give Mook another chance. Let me see. I don't think all of them can produce like they did in games. Clippers need to know. Okay. PG feels better with Rondo on the court. I agree. Stephen A. Smith, a king and hater. No. When I was saying it, when we were here talking about it, trying to call dudes to the carpet, people were saying, "Oh, you hate blacks and all this stuff." Now look. Now look. It looks like I was right. You heard Steve. And funny enough, you can't keep. They're not going to be able to ignore Kwame Brown forever. You ain't going to be able to just ignore him and close your eyes and hope he's going to go away. There was a game yesterday, and he was doing a live, and there were thousands of people watching that live. So that should tell you something. That if this dude can get so many people on his live when NBA playoff games are going on, that should let you know what's up. Let me see. Kawhi's face when Reggie shot too early. Yeah, it was exactly. But I will say one last thing, something I want to say. The Clippers could have won that game, I believe, when it was 103-101. But there was something that happened that I hated. When Paul George, with 2 minutes left in the game, when he rushed down and hit that and shot that three, I said to myself, you don't need a three. He rushed that shot, and I think that was the end of the game right there. Even Ty Lue said it in the post game. I just wish Paul George didn't rush that three. You're down 3 with 2 minutes left. You don't need a three. Just look for the best shot. Run your offense. But again, he trusts himself. But I just wish he didn't do that. Okay, so anyway, I think I've answered okay, so I think I've answered everybody's question. Again, if I didn't answer, exactly. I didn't like that three. Again, yeah, the Kawhi dunk was the Kawhi, man. Kawhi just goes into another, he just goes into another level. He just goes into another level, man. He just goes into another level. Anyway, thank you guys for being a part of this live. We'll definitely be on the second live. Again, don't forget to check out Dreamerspro Max. We have the link in the description below. Also, if you haven't joined the channel, make sure you guys go ahead and do that. Thank you guys for joining us for this live. We'll definitely catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy, guys. Catch you guys later. All right. Peace.